We're going to start with, the greats, Dan Marino, Drew Brees, and your favorite, Brett Favre. These guys all had, great seasons, 17 plus. Dan Marino had 17, Brees 20 seasons, and Favre 20 seasons as well. So these guys had, very comparable careers. I think some did, better slightly than others, but, we're going to give our take on it. I'll give the floor to you since, Brett Favre is your guy. I know you couldn't wait for this episode.
Man, those are three of the best quarterbacks of all time. Great longevity and great volume passers. I'll go off the top here. I'm going to go one by one. So Dan Marino was first, right? Now he burst in the league in 83. 1984, Les, he threw 48 touchdowns, 17 picks, 5,084 yards. I still remember that.
Yeah.
And he set the NFL record with 48 touchdown passes. The record at that time was 32. So he just blew it out of the water. He basically put up like a prime Peyton Manning or Mahomes season back in the 80s. That was unheard of. And he ended up through a couple of 4 touchdown games in the playoffs, and then he got curb stomped by the 49ers in the Super Bowl. All right, and that was just the 49ers were one of the best teams of all time. And he never made it back to the Super Bowl. And he had great longevity. He had an Achilles injury, but other than that, he never made it back. He went 8-10 in the playoffs. But he was always a great player. He just it never clicked for him. I think quarterbacks have always been important, but they're more important now than they ever have been in terms of the way the game is played. But back then, they just could not get the right combination of offensive line and defense for him to win. So he had a Wilt Chamberlain 1984 season, bro. That was like 50 points a game. It was unbelievable. But little did you know, late in his career, they got Jimmy Johnson. Do you know that? They got Jimmy Johnson, the Dallas Cowboys coach who won. And, they had like a Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson beef, man. Marino wanted to call audibles, and he always did it because he's Dan Marino. And then Jimmy Johnson's like, no, we got to run the ball. That's how we win. Yeah. And they got along, but they didn't really click, and that's why they had some real huge playoff losses. So that's my take on Dan Marino. All-time great. Never made another Super Bowl. Never won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. Who came in next? Brett Favre. 3 straight MVPs. Iron Man. His peak was like top 5 all time, but his low was so bad. Like he's got 336 picks, man. No one's going to play long enough to throw 15, 20 picks every season and put up 30, 40 touchdowns like he did and get away with it. But the problem was he was really clutch. Like he would have a clutch game, and then he would have a couple of big mistakes late in games. And unfortunately for him, he won a Super Bowl, won 3 straight MVPs, and then he could have won another Super Bowl. And bro, I was there. I rooted for him. He didn't make the throws. He had a couple throws against John Elway and the Broncos. He missed them. If he made them, they would have won another Super Bowl. He should have made it back. He had some bad luck, but he was fantastic. So that's Brett Favre. Brett Favre was Kobe Bryant to me. He just took too many risks. He really believed in himself, and that's who he was. He didn't have Phil Jackson and Shaq, all right, to help him out a little bit. Now, Drew Brees is unbelievable. Great longevity. He has the best numbers of the 3. He also played in the best era of the 3, and he played in a dome. His first 4 years in San Diego were very pedestrian, and then he walked into a situation in the NFC South with Sean Payton, a dome, not that great of defenses. Kind of reminds me of Steve Nash going to D'Antoni and the SSOL Suns. So he has the best numbers. He did not win an MVP. He won 1 Super Bowl and was the MVP, and he was phenomenal. And he has had some bad luck in the playoffs too. Man, it feels like every quarterback has bad luck in the playoffs except for Brady. A lot of these guys have bad luck, man. So bottom line is, I am going with Brees 3rd. I know it's popular these days to say Brees number 1. Brees is 3rd, man. Favre and Marino had better arms. They were bigger and stronger. And if they were in Brees' situation, they would have done better. I can't decide between Favre and Marino. I'm going to go, man, I'm going to go with Favre, but man, like, I don't even feel right doing it, man, because he won. The tiebreaker is the rings and the MVP, but I don't know, man. I have to think about this more. I'm going to go Favre, Marino, Brees, but I'll let you have the floor.
So Favre 1, Marino, Dan Marino 2, and Breeze 3. Not bad. Respectfully, I would, have to disagree on that.
Always.
And either or, I don't think these numbers are wrong. Personally, I saw more of Brett Favre and Drew Brees, live, as opposed to Dan Marino. But that doesn't mean I haven't seen his games. I mean, a bit young. I was 8 to 10 when he was, at the end of his career, but. Still saw, everything. I think he was the most durable one on the list. Him and Favre for sure. He had only one season where he didn't play. He played only 5 games. His whole career, he played 11 plus games. He played a lot of games. But when you look at the stats at the same time, like you were saying, he didn't get back to that Super Bowl. He didn't get back to Super Bowl, even get back to that kind of 84 career that he had, insane. And also looking at his stats, he was the one that was the least sacked. He had seasons where he was sacked only 8 times. That never happened in Drew Brees' or Brett Favre's career, just so you know.
Great point.
He's had seasons where he was sacked 5 times. No, none of them had
he
it.
would just throw the ball out of bounds.
Exactly.
Yeah, my dad told me that.
He took care of the ball very well. So again, at the same time, I can expect him to, maybe do more with the fact that, the pressure never really got to him. As opposed to somebody like Drew Brees, he's played a lot of years where they depended on Drew Brees' arm and intelligence as opposed to protect him in the line. You know what I mean? Favre had great receivers around him. They knew that if you give Favre somebody he can throw the ball to, this man is going to risk it, So I think these guys, sometimes has some, advantages to them. Also, you got to also understand, Drew Brees also had Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, great playmakers, one of the best to ever do it as well. So when you have these guys, they complement your career a lot. So looking at the eye test and everything, yes, of course, Dan Marino was, the QB one, looks and everything, he's the guy, America's quarterback. But again, I think he fell a little bit short with things like, touchdowns compared to these other 2 guys. Brett Favre turned the ball a lot, but whenever he got it back, there were times where he took care of it right. He took care of it when it was most needed, but also he turned it over more than anybody else, Again, in playoffs, Dan Marino and Drew Brees had similar 18 games. They both played 18 games. Same thing with Favre. Favre played 24 games. Favre had 44 touchdowns. Dan Marino, 18 games with Drew Brees, both 18 games. Dan Marino goes for 32 as opposed to Drew Brees 37. Not that much, but again, interceptions, Dan Marino has 24 interceptions. Drew Brees only 15. Drew Brees, you knew he would take care of the ball. You leave that ball in his hands, at some point, you trust them, So me personally, I'm going with Drew Brees at 1, Favre at 2, because you can't go wrong with Favre, and then Dan Marino 3 in that order.
Another point that I just thought of, and I feel you. I think that Brees has an advantage with his era and playing 9-10 dome games a year. And you know what he did in playoffs? He has that Rodgers effect. Like he wouldn't. At least that's what I've seen lately. It's like the lack of picks. But he didn't take enough chances, or he couldn't take enough chances. Something else I need to call Favre out on. That dude lost so many fumbles. So you got the picks, and he lost fumbles.
And the fumble. Yeah,
Brees
he turned the ball
so many
just
fumbles. In general, all 3 of these dudes were clutch as hell. So they were clutch. Marino had a famous game where he did a fake spike. He did it against the Jets. People were so mad. He was pretending he was going to spike it, and then he takes it and throws the game-winning touchdown. Like that dude was really clutch. He would go off script and throw game-winning touchdowns against the coach's orders. Like, I'm almost talking myself into Marino right now. Either way, it's hard, though, when you only make one Super Bowl and don't make it back. It's like, why didn't he produce in the playoffs? I'd have to watch every single one of those playoff games to understand why. But, I respect your opinion. But, Dan Marino is one of those dudes where it's like, he'll always go down in history. And
absolutely,
I think that
top 10 for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. We're going to do a top 10, top 12 quarterbacks in the last, since maybe like 1980, Me and you will do
Top
that.
10 of all time.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
all
like
time?
we
All
do,
right.
just
that's
like
gonna
we
be
do
tough.
for every sport, all time. Yeah.
All time is rough, but all right, we may have to extend it to 15 just to be kind.
Nah,
But,
10.
all
10.
right, we'll see.
Top 10.
That's tough.
Top
But
10.
man, listen, I'll go with Favre for now, but I gotta do some digging on this because I tell you what, man, I saw a Marino documentary last month. That dude was amazing.
He was amazing, to be completely and then also, yes, Drew Brees again was in a situation that wasn't the best, with the Chargers after he broke his collarbone. He had to, and tore his labrum. He had to, move on, and they did him a little dirty. That's when, they got what's his name, the young man and Eli.
Rivers.
No, they got Manning. They drafted Manning, and Manning didn't want to go there. So then they took Rivers, exchange for him, which worked out at that time for both teams. Even though Rivers didn't do much besides, have a lot of kids and throw a lot of picks, and was nice during some games, that's for sure. But anyway, moving forward to our next conversation, Steve Nash and the Nets.
8 kids. Eight kids.
Hey, he will forever beat me, bro. He will forever and ever beat me. I don't care how much money I have.
You still got time, bro. You still got time.
You know what? Let me take that back. You're right, brother. You're right. I might start my own basketball team.